Hi, my name's Tony Lloyd.
And I'm Tony Lindsay.
And welcome to Arts Alive Film, coming from Odeon, Liverpool 1. So what have we got on today's show, Tony?
Well, to begin with, we have another serving of the Hunger Games, before taking ringside seats with The Hobbit 3, Battle of the Five Armies. And then we spring St. Nick himself from jail in Get Santa. Okay, let's crack on straight away with The Hunger Games, Part 3. What do you think, To?
I quite like the Hunger Games series. It does echo a bit of Battle Royale for me.
Yeah.
But, you know, it has its own audience. You know, 65 million books sold alone in America. So who am I to argue with that? My only worry was, not worry, but my only thing was, it's part 3, but you get only a part 1 of part 3. What's all that about?
Well, that's business, mate. They did the same with Twilight. They split the last book into 2. They did the same with Harry Potter. Look what Peter Jackson's doing at the moment with The Hobbit. You know, small book, 3 massive films.
Well, the story's good. You know, it carries on. The games are well and truly shattered, and Jennifer Lawrence returns as Katniss Evergreen.
Oh, splendid. Really great actress.
She does carry it well, doesn't she?
She does.
You know, it's one of those sort of third act type of vibes. It's her friends are in Peter.
He's in the being caught by the bad guys, and what they have to do in this one is actually manage a rescue. Meanwhile, Katniss has been made the symbol of the rebellion.
Reluctantly.
Very reluctantly. She doesn't think she can handle it.
And she sings.
Oh, and she sings as well, beautifully.
Yeah. And we got Donald Sutherland as Snow.
Oh, back, the classic Donald Sutherland as
creepy.
Yeah.
Creepy and terrifying all the kids. I love it.
We got Julianne Moore thrown in as well. We got Woody Harrelson back.
And some exceptional. I mean, the action is on a slow burn. We've got to admit.
Yeah,
that.
Listen, folks. If you're looking for a big action, this ain't the one for you. It's compelling, but it's not as action orientated as the first 2. Okay, you need to see this one before you jump into the part 2 of part 3.
We've got a feeling it's going to be all out war at the second part.
And they are setting it up.
But for this now, there's a lot of setting up.
Yeah. But the acting can't be faulted. The digital photography, the effects, the visual effects,
stunning.
Superb. I don't think there's anything that they can't do on a cinema screen these days. It's absolutely brilliant.
I suppose when I don't know about yourself, but when I came to it, I've not read the books, so I've come to it as a purely filmmaking point of view, as an audience member. So it wasn't as fulfilling for me as the other 2.
Okay, yeah. I haven't read the books either. My son's read the books, and he's a big fan of the films.
So they've got the target audience.
Absolutely. The audience is very, a very captive audience. Yeah, I think we're both a bit down about the fact that this wasn't the third, the end, the climax.
Yeah.
But you know,
and the pace, you have to do the pace well to be able to finish something.
Yeah.
That's where Peter Jackson scores so highly.
Yeah.
He can finish a segment even though it's not the whole thing, and you go out pacified, you go out with enough information to have enjoyed that night's experience. I didn't feel that was here.
Yes, indeed.
I felt more frustrated than I did satisfied waiting for the second one.
Yes, yeah. Structure is not its greatest quality in this one. But nevertheless...
But if you're a fan, you're a fan. And you're going to love it.
Yeah, we're preaching to the converted, obviously. So, But yeah, good night out.
Yeah.
Okay, now our second film of the week is Hobbit 3, Battle of the Five Armies. This is where the armies themselves do battle on the doorstep of Erebor. That's if you're a J.R.R. Tolkien fan. If not, don't worry about it. You don't even really need to have seen the first 2, do you, to have seen this?
No. I mean, as far as the first 2, obviously this is the third part of the trilogy. I enjoyed the first part. I wasn't a big fan of the second part, but this one really dragged me in.
Yeah. Well, to me, I find the Hobbit trilogy is far more interesting than the original Lord of the Rings trilogy. So I have enjoyed part 1, part 2, but this is phenomenal. And we did get to see it on the IMAX presentation screen, which is, believe you me, absolutely out of this world.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I've never seen a 3D process as good as this. Didn't interfere with the eyes, didn't give you the headache. But what I did like about the film was its structure. I
Yes.
thought you had on one side, you got these epic battles. I mean, insane action, creatures, every name of creature. But you had your softer moments. You had your pathos. You had moments
You
of
did.
genuine emotion.
Yeah.
And I think the way he's been able to go from those big, high concepts.
You hit
know,
the ground
battle
running, don't
action.
you?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Well, you open up with smog laying waste and.
oh, absolutely fantastic, and the special effects are out of this world. But really, as Tony says, this isn't a special effects picture. Well, obviously it is, but it's about those human moments, or those orc moments, or those dwarf or elfish moments. But they're all in there. The cauldron is full on this one, isn't it?
Oh, a nice one. Yeah, the cauldron is definitely overflowing on this one. No, but it really is. This is one worth seeing, and we're better to see it at the Odeon.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
Martin
Liverpool.
Freeman really carries this one. He really he comes into his own, as does Richard Armitage as Thorin. Absolutely fantastic performance.
Well, he's Martin Freeman's as Bilbo. He's every man's voice, isn't he?
He is,
He's
absolutely.
the voice of sensibility. He's the quiet voice in the corner, putting his hand up.
Yeah,
He's
absolutely.
very much like
We
that.
identify with
We
him.
identify with him in the midst of all these mythological, incredible creatures. He's the one.
Absolutely.
And all of his motivation is out of friendship and love,
Indeed.
and that comes over. And on this one, we get a single ending,
Yes.
which is incredible.
Yeah, I believe in the book the battle actually takes 3 paragraphs. This takes at least 45 minutes, but every single second is worth it. It's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
we've
well,
got-
we both said, didn't we? It didn't feel like, what, 2.5 hours?
No, an hour at most.
An hour and 90 minutes at the most. So
Yeah.
you really, really have got a great experience.
You don't forget, you've got Benedict Cumberbatch in there, you've got Chris Lee, you've got Kate Blanchett. Great cast, and it just, Peter Jackson has just finished off the whole thing with an absolute flourish.
Yeah, and
Masterpiece.
there is a slight sadness to the end. We know it's not only the end of The Hobbit, but it's the end of his whole trips to Middle
Yeah,
Earth.
not
really.
everybody gets out alive, folks. Just remember that.
Zip, zip.
Okay.
Do
Okay.
not tell them.
Very nice.
So, get Santa.
Get Santa, lots of fun. Great British movie. Right time of year, obviously, the seasonal comedy. Santa is thrown in prison, played by the great Jim Broadbent.
What I liked about it, and we spoke about this, normally with this type of movie, without causing too much controversy, it's kind of a middle class thing, isn't it? The nice twee household or whatever. This kind of throws it on its head. Dad coming out of prison, trying to reconnect with his young son, and
That's
just as a backdrop, Santa has crashed his new sleigh and is in his shed.
Yeah.
Very E.T. like, actually.
Very E.T., yeah. No, I agree with you. I see what you're saying about the working class angle. For me, Paddington, the problem with Paddington was the middle class. It seemed all twee and middle class. Wonder where, you know, some kids would get to identify with that kind of thing. Here, I think there's no problem. It's straight in. It's all, it's believable. The lad's dad comes out of prison. Rafe Spall, doing a nice turn, comes out of prison, and what he has to do to prove to his son that he's worth the role of father is help Santa Claus. And of course, to begin with, he doesn't believe in Santa Claus, but the arc of the story is so that Santa convinces father just as much as son. And they have to get him back on track and stop Christmas from being cancelled.
And this is going to be great fun for the kids. You've got reindeers who communicate by grunting and farting a lot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Never
So,
mind a good farting.
All the
joke.
kids were in hysterics over that. But pinned in the middle is this nice, really innocent portrayal of Santa by the great Jim Broadbent. And
The master.
there's
the
a
master.
beautiful sequence, isn't there, where they're in the prison, and he confronts each of these real hardened timers of what they were like when they were young. He gives a little insight into maybe where things went wrong and how they got there, but also reduces these hard men back to children again, out of awe and love and affection,
Very,
really.
very,
And
very
a beautiful scene to watch. And of course, Our own Stephen Graham.
Stephen Graham is the barber. He's superb in this. He makes a good...
Joanna Scanlon, Liverpool actress, writer. She turns up as a kind of a parole officer.
That's right.
Stroke a trunchball character.
Yeah. She serves the film well. But no, all in all, get the kids to see this. It's well worth it.
Yeah.
It's special effects, literally out of this world. For a British movie as well. It's
Ridley Scott company, Scott Free involved.
Yeah, of course.
We got BFI.
BFI, yeah.
But it doesn't feel like your typical English movie. It's got big aspirations, big ambitions, and they achieve them. It's a real great Christmas, I feel. I think that coming out with your family, it'd be perfect. It's a definite thumbs up for Broadbent Santa. Should we get Santa?
Okay, well that's it for part 1. In part 2, we're off to the Wirral International Film Festival, and we have some DVD reviews for you.
So, see you in a bit.
Hello and welcome back to Arts Alive Film. And what have you got for them now, Ted?
Well, following up on our interview we did with Alan Vesty and Phil Bimson from the Wirral Film Festival, me and my other half got on the ferry and went over to see what the Wirral Film Festival was all about. Well, here we are at the Wirral Film Festival, actually in headquarters now, and the pair of us are excited. We've been talking all the way over.
Can't wait.
Yeah, for a whole now programme of shows. So we'll let you know how it's going.
Lights, camera, action.
Well, the Wirral International Film Festival is known for its variety. We've had everything today, from animations, short movies. We've had music videos, many different genres within the different styles. We've had horror films, we've had comedy, tragedy and romance. We've been going for 7 years now, so we have sort of got I wouldn't call it a fan base, because we're only providing a platform for people to show the films, you know, on a scale that's hopefully going to be global. So we've got people who've made films maybe 2 or 3 years ago. They've been inspired by what they've done. They've brought it back and came with new ideas, different types of film. And the old idea is for everyone to come down here, mix, swap ideas, learn something, and then move on and make something great and something fantastic. Okay guys, we're about to start. If you just have your attention for 1 minute.
Yeah, it was a bit nerve-wracking to see what people thought. It was good to hear when some people were laughing about it.
Okay, so where do you go from here now?
Probably just to develop more cartoons, see what I can do with there. Obviously, I'll be working with my friend on a few films later.
Well, the thing is, if a person makes a movie, you know, they spend a lot of time writing the script, sorting locations, borrowing, begging or stealing equipment to actually fulfill a dream. But where do you go with that dream? And the dream is, we want it on TV. We want it in the movies. We want it to be on everybody's lips and in the newspapers. But breaking into that industry is probably one of the hardest things that you can ever attempt to do. So what we do is we provide a platform so that their films are watched by their peers and the friends and the cast. It's a form of getting together for everybody involved in the films. Then, if they win, because we have a selection committee, if they actually win, we automatically put those films into an Italian film festival, all free.
Really, I just wanted to put it out there. It was only my ever second short film that I've done. The last one was about 10 years ago. That got commissioned with Northwest Vision. So it just came from my heart. It was just an idea, you know, some truths in the film that happened. And I just wanted to put it out there and, you know, put it on. But I'm just hoping it's like a little showcase for myself and my friend who was in it, Emma, and all the other actors who are in it, you know, just see if they can get some more work, get some paid work, and just show what we can do and things.
Right.
Well, the fact that it's free to enter, there's no, we're not interested really in badges, it's really the content, and it gives opportunity for filmmakers to air their stuff or to, you know, get it screened to an audience where they mightn't ordinarily have had that opportunity, a live audience where they can interact with people who are watching the film rather than sitting at home on the internet, YouTube, comments. Here's an environment where, we can meet the filmmakers, meet the actors, and, the public as well.
So, what a night. I mean, you enjoyed yourself?
I have really enjoyed it. Like we were talking about before, the difference between watching a movie with an audience, and I think we forget that. We've all got our own incredible home systems, and I think the actual sharing of the experience has brought that back to me tonight. That and how many different examples we've seen.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you are a filmmaker yourself. You brought your work in progress to show an audience, so you really do get that full hit of the of what it means to be a member of the audience, but also as a filmmaker.
Absolutely. I mean, what happens is with anything, and you write screenplays, so it's a different parts of the progress, pre-production and the probably post-production. It's quite solitary on the writing,
absolutely,
storyboarding.
Yes.
So for you to interact with anyone with your work is, you don't get much of a chance to do that. So, and even at strategic points, it's good because you might get an idea that feels, or a work that feels a bit tired, and it gets a bit of invigorated.
It's that thing that Roland Barthes wrote about, the death of the author. Once you've made something, you have to give it over to the audience, and then it's there. They own it then. So the talent's out there. It just needs to be seen by greater numbers, and that's what this festival is doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for anyone watching, we tend to think these things are just for, industry savvy people, but I honestly think they just need regular members of the public, who you can suspend your whatever you do and just go in and enjoy the movie as you would in the cinema.
Yeah, it's free, folks. So,
it's absolutely,
So come along and have some fun.
100%. So what do you reckon now? We're back to the studio?
Back to the studio.
To the other two?
Yeah, really. Back to you guys. Think those two have got a future?
No.
Okay.
What's next?
DVDs.
DVDs, thank God. DVDs. So, first up, Expendables 3.
Yeah, not a big fan, to be honest with you here. First one was...
It's a great idea, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's the Dirty Dozen for the new age, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You bring together all the guys who had a franchise in the 80s. You've got Schwarzenegger, Stallone, Dolph Lundgren, Wesley Snipes appears in this one. You've even got Mel Gibson pitching in as the villain. And of course, Indy himself, Harrison Ford, which kind of brings it up a notch or two.
I like the touch with Wesley Snipes, who's obviously, as we all know, was in prison for tax evasion, and his character mirrors that. When they break him out of prison, they ask him what was he in for, and he had a big grin across his face and says tax evasion, which I thought was quite funny.
Nice bit
and
of
it's good to see.
Postmodernism.
It is good to see Mel Gibson back in, and he plays a good baddie.
But anyway, moving on, we've got Sin City 3, A Dame to Die For.
Again,
Rodriguez.
this sounds like I'm being a total downer here, but waiting 9 years between the first and this one hasn't done the story really well, has it really? I mean, stylistically it still looks fantastic, that comic book noir.
Frank Miller,
who had a bit of a misfire film in The Spirit.
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
Is back, but he's written 2 original stories for this. But it looks cool. It's hyper violent, super violent.
Okay. You've got Josh Brolin in there, who's great guns.
Yeah.
Eva Green, who's absolutely, mega sexy.
And Bruce Willis looks like a Steve Canyon drawing,
Absolutely,
he does look good in it.
Yeah.
It's just that, I mean, I think I've seen perfume adverts.
Yes.
Which is using the same tech.
It's
the same world. So I think what the biggest disservice it did is waiting 9 years.
Yeah, it's outdated, it's outmoded, it's become a.
I mean, you still get the segment stories which kind of sort of semi-link, don't you?
But it's repetitive though. How many times does Josh Brolin have to be thrown out of a window and survive?
Eva
know?
Green's good though. When she's on
Yeah.
screen,
Yeah.
she's the business.
Yeah.
But again, it just feels like out of touch, really.
Yeah, indeed.
So that's it for the show this week, coming from Odeon Liverpool 1. What do we reckon?
Oh, that IMAX is absolutely fabulous.
Incredible, wasn't
Oh, it's superb.
it? So, what's on for the next show?
Next week we go one step further. We climb the peaks of cinematic intellect. Forget Kubrick, forget Eisenstein. We've really nailed it this time.
It's got to be Interstellar.
No?
Dumber and Dumber 2.
Yeah.
I remember us having a fringe like that. Anyway, I'm off.
So, good night, folks. Ciao. Okay, well, welcome back to part 2. What have we got in?
That's all right.
Start again. Oh, welcome back to part 2.
Oh, sorry.
And what have you got on part 2? Start again.
So, we put our money where our mouth is, bought a ticket for the ferry even. Oh, sorry.
That was all right.
Was it all right? I'm sorry. Sorry, Sean. Well, what happened is me and my oppo here bought a ferry ticket and we went over to the Firrell. A mixture of the ferry and the
I went to the Wirral, that's why you
I went to
there.
Wirral
Yeah.
and I met a Firrell. Well, following up on our interview we did in our first episode with Alan Vesty and Phil Bimpson of the Wirral Film Sorry. Well, following up on our last story when we spoke to Alan Vesty and Phil Bimpson at the Wirral Film Festival, me... Sorry, we're under attack.